Well, part of what I understand is we're trying to get things more simplistic here and easier for the public to engage in this. And maybe if no one objects to it being pared down to a couple of pages, then we can go with whatever. It doesn't really matter which A or B we go with. So I'm all for simple. So
great.
If staff's okay, they can pare it down to whatever they want, then I don't care which document we give back.
Okay, so we're going with Plan A. We have 3.5 votes, it sounds like. I'm sorry, Plan B. Plan B is going to be the document that we're using as a working draft from this point on. What I would like to suggest is that we continue this discussion to a date certain, and that our Plan B working draft and the fact that we have continued it to whatever that date certain is, that information be distributed to interested parties, whoever those interested parties may be. You know, chambers of commerce, nonprofit organizations, the Elks Club, you know, whoever, notify all those entities, show them what we're discussing, and tell them when our next hearing date is, so that we can hear back from those entities and incorporate their thoughts, concerns, suggestions into our ongoing policy discussion, because that's what we need to do next, is we need to talk about the policies.
Well, right, so that was my question then. Shall we set one more date? I'm with you that I don't think we're ready to hand it back for outside comments, but we will certainly want to seek those in the process, because we have are talking about some good-sized changes to where we started. But so is that where you're going then? That we put another discussion on calendar to work on some of these policy questions.
And we'll notify the public and invite the public to weigh in, participate, write, attend, all of those things.
My question is, in this time of a shortage of assets, why are we spending the time on this when, if it's not broke? You know, it's the old, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I know once we open up that can of worms, we're going to get all this. I do understand that. But I guess the bigger point that I'm trying to make is that I don't know what, I understood the direction from just watching the videos, the direction from the board to be welcome this, not over-restrict it. So,
Commissioner White, if I could step in here, I would suggest the existing system is broke. Pointing out what I was going back to before. You want to have a basil festival on your property, you need a minor use permit. I recognize people don't do that, but you need a minor use permit. So what's in the mill here, whether it goes to Plan A or Plan B, doesn't matter, but it's kind of looking like it's going to be just go get an over-the-counter zoning clearance.
well, that's a good thing.
If you want to have the Alzheimer's Association have a 250 people show up to some thing out in the country, go ahead and do it. You don't need a permit.
I think that's accomplishing the goal
and
to
that's
welcome
what we're
this.
trying to make happen here.
Well, that's good. That's the good part. The bad part that I see is we're bogging it down with a lot of other content. And but again, I understand what you're saying, but has there been serious problems in the past to initiate this, or is it just a time to try to clean up potential problems because we're growing so rapidly as a community, or what initiated this other than let's encourage this ag tourism and events?
If you want a really specific answer to that question, what initiated this was an individual landowner in Avila who objected to the fact that under the current system, he had to go in every year and get a business license to hold a fairly large event. And so he came to the Board of Supervisors and said, I don't want to have to go get a business license every year, I want a land use permit. And the board said, okay, then we're going to have to rewrite the entire events ordinance in order to accommodate you. And so that's literally why we're here today.
And so the board's intent was to expedite and to streamline.
That's correct.
Okay,
and under this framework, that landowner is going to be able to get, my understanding is, a conditional use permit that's gonna be able to run with the land.
Well, let's expedite and streamline, let's pare this thing down to
Yeah.
where we can accomplish it.
And I think part of the problem is that we heard an extraordinary amount of testimony today from people who haven't read the ordinance, don't know the history, and don't understand what it says. And so we're hearing, this is gonna break us, this is overburdensome, this is gonna destroy our organization, and in fact,
Yeah, without opening it back up to all
Right.
those complicated issues.
Right,
But
right.
I do know there was some misunderstanding with the wineries, but
Yeah.
there was some good points touched
There
on that
were,
it could all
absolutely.
come together eventually.
Absolutely.
And,
and that's our charge.
yes, so okay.
And
work
I hear
for it.
where you're going, you wanna have, bring it to a date certain with Plan B, shined up a little bit. But before you do that, I wanna call your attention to your screen there, there's at least two of those issues you really need to deal with today. You wanna stay with that permit table, and are you gonna allow commercial events on ag land? Those are really big issues.
Oh, God, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're bringing this up. You know what?
Those
I
look
think,
ahead.
I think we need to deal with those issues when we bring this up. We'll put those as issues 1 and 2 that we have to deal with when we come back at a date certain. And I agree with you, we gotta get those out of the way.
I just have one
Commissioner White?
request of staff, since we're not making the ordinance more restrictive, we're just trying to clarify. I picked up in the video, and I spoke with Karen yesterday about, back in May, I believe, for the previous commission, there was a chart prepared identifying the differences between what the existing ordinance is and what's being proposed, and therefore we can X anything that's making it more restrictive or changing it that way. It just, we'll stick with clarity then.
And that could be part of the staff report.
Sure.
Not
I'd love
part
to
of the
do that.
ordinance.
That would help me a
Part of the
lot, just to
staff
see
report. Sure.
to make sure that we're not becoming more restrictive, that we're following direction from the board to expedite. Thank you.
And that's perfectly, legitimate to be part of the staff report. Okay, so with that, do you need direction to staff in the motion in terms of how to revise the ordinance, or do you think you have a pretty good handle on that, Ms. Knoll?
I think I understand.
Okay, so we can just do a motion to continue till July 30th? Okay, I would entertain such a motion.
So moved. We continue the item to July 30th, special meeting, or 5th Thursday meeting?
That means you're committing yourself to
The fifth
meeting 3
Thursday.
times in the month of July.
Yes.
I
Okay.
understood that, unfortunately.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Wyatt, seconded by Commissioner Christensen to continue the item to July 30th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion is continued till July 30th.